Okay, now we're good.
Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the replay. If you're not on the live bonus jam session for Playing Out 2019, woo! Can I get a woohoo?
Woo!
Yeah. All right. So let's drop in for a moment and get connected. So on the count of three, we'll take a big breath, and we'll hold that breath, and then we'll exhale with a beautiful harmonious ah. 1, 2, 3. Inhale. Gently push it down. Push it down. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. Another big breath. 1, 2, 3. Inhale. Hold it. Push it down. Move it around. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. One more breath. 1, 2, 3. Inhale. Hold it. Hold it. Push it down. Move it around. Smile. 1, 2, 3. Yes, continue breathing in through the nose, out through the nose. Just feel the ease and flow. Go ahead and put a smile on your 2019 face. It's 2019. You're feeling your connection with all that is, source energy, knowing that all things are possible for you. Just breathe into that knowingness, feeling the good vibes. Now imagine the collective. We're a collective consciousness. We're standing in a circle. We're all holding hands and smiling and excited. And there's this crazy, beautiful light swirling all around all of us. And go ahead and see and feel the light. Feel your body becoming energized and optimistic and excited, and knowing that if you can see it and feel it, you can put it down on paper. You can manifest it. Go ahead and feel that knowingness of writing it down, feeling it, seeing it, believing it, taking those baby steps every day. And then at the end of 3 months, you're holding it, you're living it, you're being it, you have become it. So go ahead and feel that, and feel all the way to the end of 2019 and what you're going to achieve by the end. And just go ahead and just feel the overall awesomeness of who you've become in 1 year. Feel that laser sharp focus, that playfulness, the creativity, knowing you can see it and feel it, you can attract it. Just go ahead and get excited about the possibilities for 2019. What's it going to be for you? Is it going to be a healthy, pain-free body? Is it going to be a new career, a partner? Is it going to be a book? Is it going to be a product or service? Is it going to be more free time? What's it going to be? Go ahead and see and feel it now. Breathe into that feeling. Smile really big as if you're already living it. Yes, you did it, you did it, you did it. Woo! Feeling first, manifestation second. Feel the good vibes, feel the excitement. On the count of three, you can open your eyes. So 1, double the intensity in your body of excitement, passion, joy, playfulness. Breathing deeply. 2, feel and see. Go ahead and see the end result. You doing the happy dance. You speaking, sharing, teaching, contributing, laughing, playing, traveling. See yourself living the dream. 2.5, give thanks for the journey. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And 3, kaboom. You open your eyes. You say, I rock.
I rock.
I rock.
Woo! Woo!
Woo! Thank you, thank you. All right, I'm going to mute everybody. And I just also want to say hello. I see we have one person phoning in, so it doesn't tell us your name, but I see a 206 area code. So actually, would you tell us who you are so I know I can address you?
Hi, this is Grace.
Oh, hi, Grace. So glad you could make it tonight.
Hi, I'm out walking my dog in Seattle because I couldn't get her out sooner, but I'm glad to be on the call.
Awesome. Okay, great. So, okay, guys, well, let's get started. I'm going to mute everybody. Feel free to put stuff in the chat, and I will stop and ask for questions periodically. I may not be able to scroll all the way back. Here, let me mute everybody. I may not be able to scroll all the way back and see all the questions. So when I call for questions, you may have to retype your question at that point if it's still relevant. And we have several coaches on the line, I believe. I saw Angie and Monica's with us. Hello, Monica. You guys are going to get to know your coaches over time. We've got Brian with us and Amy. Hello, welcome. I'm looking to see. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody. Oh, we got Tom. Hi, Tom. I'm not used to seeing Tom on the call. So glad this is one you could make. Yay. All right, great. Okay, so let's get started. Let me share my screen here with you guys. Okay, let me get into slide mode. Okay, great. So for those of you that have been with us, some of this might be a little bit of a review, but it's great. It's always reinforcement. We always need reminders of this. And for those of you who are new, you're going to start learning the principles that we operate from in the Daily Activation Club and as part of the Smart Manifesting System. So this is just the beginning. And tomorrow night on our kickoff call, we're going to be diving deeper into the WIG, the wildly important goal that you're choosing. So this is some foundational work that'll lead to that. So we're not actually digging into WIGs tonight, just so you know, that's tomorrow night. We do that with everybody. This is just a special bonus planning session for those of you that joined in early. Okay. So principle number one is that every goal is at its core a time-based and action-based goal. So a lot of us, typically, we've been conditioned to think in results. So my goal is to lose 20 pounds. My goal is to write a book or 10 pages a day. We're used to putting instead of a time component, we're used to stating our goals in terms of the absolute, in terms of the result that we get. But we have to always dial it back to time in action. So let me give you a example of that. So how do we turn I want to lose 20 pounds into a time in action goal? So to lose weight, typically we need to eat a healthier diet and we need to exercise. Let's just say those are two of the components. Maybe you need to go see the doctor. Maybe there's other things that you need to do as well. Those things, exercising is time in action. Eating right is time in action. Time to make the food, time to eat it. Going to the doctor is time in action. Schedule the appointment, going to the doctor. When you do the things that are required to actually achieve the goal, then the result, the 20 pounds lost, will be your result. So everything that you're doing is getting broken down into time and action. And that's why, as you'll be learning in the club, I have a method that I teach, which is my Power 15, how to move mountains in 15 minutes a day. And how you'll be working is in highly focused 15-minute cycles. Now, sometimes you'll only do one cycle a day. Sometimes you'll do more than one. And I'm not going to dig a lot into that because that in and of itself is another whole call that I do in a couple of weeks after you've taken the short course that I have on that. I'm just setting the stage here for the conversation tonight. So one of the things, here, let me close this here. One of the things that, since we are a law of attraction community too, a lot of you guys are familiar with The Secret, which I can't believe, I think that came out almost 10 years ago now. And the crux of The Secret was ask, believe, receive. And it kind of just makes you think like, oh, I just have to visualize and believe that I'm going to have it, and then it's going to come to me. Well, the Smart Manifesting System what we're throwing into the mix is, no, you got to take action. It's really the action piece that is required. That's what brings it to you. So I've restructured the equation here. First, you have to have the desire. What is it that you really want? And if you're not clear, taking time to get that clarity, and that's something that we always have to do. We always have to keep checking in with ourselves. What is it that I really want? Once you decide what you want, you need to believe that you can have it. So that's a lot of that mindset work. That's a lot of the vibration activation component that Andy provides in this whole process, is helping you get out of that mindset of how can I don't have it yet. How can I possibly get it? His work is the bridge to help you get there. You have to make a decision that you're going to have it. So you're in that moment when you decide, not only do I believe I can have it, but I'm deciding that I am having it. That is much more powerful than asking like, hey, can I have it? No, you're making a decision. I am having it. And when you make that decision, you're acting from that place of decision. And as a result, you will receive. So there's more to the equation than we were originally led to believe. And these are the components that Andy and I together bring into play in the club. And these have been some of the missing pieces that you haven't necessarily had or been doing in order to make your manifesting super speed, as we like to say. So principle number 2 is, because everything is a time and action-based goal, we have to remember that there are only 24 hours in a day. And so currently, you have a very full life. Currently, you are using all 24 hours in a day. You might not be using them well, and part of what we're going to do is help you use them better so that you can create more time and find more time for the things that you really want in your life. But even if some of those 24 hours is wasted time, social media, watching TV, whatever it is for you, if you're going to add something, you need to take something else away. And that's why a lot of times people, when they make New Year's resolutions, they just keep adding new stuff. Oh, now I'm going to start going to the gym. Now I'm going to do this. Now I'm going to do that. But they don't restructure their life to accommodate it. And that's part of the reason why New Year's resolutions fail, is people don't do this piece of saying, for everything I add, I got to take something away or else it won't fit. And if it doesn't fit, it doesn't get done. So that's why in this program, how we help you find the time and make a lot of progress is, first, we're going to help you get really clear and focused. What is it that you most need to work on? We're going to help you identify and eliminate the time wasters and the bad habits that you've had. And then we're going to help you install new habits. We're going to give you more skills, better skills, and systems. We're creating the foundational systems which are going to help you be more productive and efficient. So instead of being able to do something, it might have taken you an hour before, you'll be able to get it done in half an hour. And then you just bought yourself an extra half hour in your day. And what will happen is, as you get results in one area, they're going to have ripple effects into other areas of your life. So let's say one of your goals is money goals and getting your money habits in place. Well, when you're doing better with your money, you're going to be able to free up some money. You're going to be able to afford to do other things that maybe you're not able to do right now. Or maybe instead of having to take 2 trips to the grocery store a week, you'll take 1, and then you can free up that time to do something else. So a lot of people, they get very caught up in the, well, what can I get done in 15 minutes? It's not just about the 15 minutes. It's about what this whole entire process is going to create and free up for you. So principle number 3 is walk instead of run, and you'll get there faster. And this is the whole tortoise and the hare philosophy. So in the club, we teach the tortoise philosophy. That's why we want you doing something When we say every day, we mean 4 to 6 days a week. We do believe you should have a day off here and there, depending on your wig. Some wigs might be 7-day wigs that you'll be working on, but 4 to 6 days a week. So most days of the week, you're going to be doing a little bit on your goal instead of waiting large amounts of time in between times that you work on your goal. So book writing is a good example. If you're writing a book, instead of saying, I'm not working on my book during the week, but I'm going to carve out 4 hours on a weekend to do it, we want you working it in to your schedule 4 to 6 days a week in smaller bites. And then, hey, if you get to the weekend and you have a little extra time, then that's bonus. And that's how you get it done. So a lot of what we're doing in the club is we're rewiring you, we're reconditioning you to what you've been doing, what you were told all these years of how to accomplish goals. We're actually teaching you the opposite. And so it might seem a little bit hard to believe, or it might not feel quite right in the beginning, but that's because you're not used to it yet. You're used to thinking a different way. And so reconditioning the mind is in the way you do things. It's a big part of this program. So most people think they can get more done in a day than is reasonable. We have these long to-do lists of what we think we can do. But on the other hand, and this is research shows that people think that they can get a lot less done in a year than is possible. So in a little bit, when we start to think about our days and our weeks and our months and our year, we want to keep this in mind. The big key that we're going for in the club is sustainable change. So we're adding one habit at a time, very few things, small wins, building. This is the walk before you run, the tortoise mentality. And again, that's why New Year's resolutions don't work, because people, they want to go from being a couch potato to being Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, in a week. And they just try to do too much too fast without laying the foundation first. And then that's when they fall off the wagon. And the key to getting there faster is not falling off the wagon, or when you do, you get right back up. But because you're going at it in a more sustainable way, you're not likely to fall off the wagon. And that's why the tortoise wins in the end. The other thing we teach is going narrow and deep. We want to pick a few things. We want to really devote our time and energy to those. We want to get focus and mastery instead of shallow and wide, the dabbling, the shiny object syndrome. That's the SOS period. And a lot of people who are creatives, they get really nervous about this because they're like, well, I have so many projects, so many things I want to do. I don't want to not get to those. And it's about getting focused so that you can get the ones that you're prioritizing done, and then creating the time with some of those other things that I was talking about earlier, so that you can then add that extra activity and get to the other thing. But it's bonus, right? You're always making sure you're getting your most important things done first. So rest assured that you can get to everything. You may not get to everything every day. You might have a project that maybe you're going to decide, okay, I will get to that project 3 months from now. I'm going to focus the next 3 months on these 2 things. And that will get more comfortable for you as well. The thing you have to realize is it's not that you're never going to get to it. It's actually you're going to get to it a lot faster by prioritizing. So I have a little exercise here. Before I dig into that, I just wanted to invite people. Here, let me check the chat. Oops, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Getting in the chat here. Let me come online real quick. So did anything resonate in what I shared here, especially for those of you who are new for us? Is there anything that is like an aha that you're hearing tonight, maybe for the first time, or something that you needed to be reminded about, something that you're excited to make a change in the way you're going to go about things this year? go ahead and put your comments in the chat. And actually, I would love to invite, would one of our coaches, I'm thinking Brian or Monica, you guys are so good at the 15-minute thing and how you've been able to make massive progress with that. Would you like to share a little bit about that? Like Monica, your art, or Brian, your guitar playing that you've been doing?
Yeah, I'll say something about that. I've just always for years been a procrastinator, so I would just put it off. And I would say, oh, maybe over the weekend I'll draw in my sketchbook for an afternoon, but then guess what? Something happens, or I got insecure. I'm like, oh, I don't want to draw. It's going to look dumb. So when I made myself set the timer and do just the 15 minutes and do it most days of the week, I ended up doing it. I ended up doing it almost every single day. And it just was such a lifesaver for me. It just made me do it.
And Monica hadn't touched her art in 30 years, right, Monica?
Yeah.
So talk about procrastination. Monica had a boyfriend when she was younger where he criticized her art and she put it away and didn't touch it for 30 years. So just taking that art out and getting back to doing that was a big thing. That's not just a time thing. That's an emotional thing of actually allowing yourself to do that. That was pretty courageous of you.
Well, it was, and knowing it was just 15 minutes wasn't as intimidating because I knew it was just a little bit of time.
So that's part of the magic of this program is this is your opportunity in a safe space to revisit some of those dreams that were shelved for a long time and to reawaken that belief in yourself and to heal those feelings that have been causing the procrastination. It's, that's fear, that's pain. Like a lot of what procrastination is around that kind of thing. So this is your opportunity to release that. And it's like a weight lifted. And then Brian, do you want to talk about the guitar playing? I mean, that was a hobby you had. Well, you had the guitar for 8 years before you used it. But how long before that were you thinking learning guitar was something you wanted to do?
I think the idea actually is very similar to Monica's path, except for the. Can you not hear me?
We can hear you. Yep.
Oh, you can? Okay. I think Eileen can't.
I can hear you fine. Maybe Eileen, you can turn up your volume, but I hear you okay.
Okay, great.
Maybe you could speak a little louder.
Well, that's not a problem.
Or closer.
Okay, how's that?
Better. That's good.
Yeah. All right, so similar to Monica, except without the drama of the X, I had always loved music and just creative and artistic expression. So the desire to learn guitar had been around for a long time. My wife, Amy, finally got me a guitar for Christmas, and I did a little bit of lessons and learning, and then life takes over, and then I'm a procrastinator too, and it's like, okay, well, I don't have an hour. I don't have enough time to devote every day. So it's like, I'll wait till the weekend. The weekend would come and go. So that was the kind of the drill I got into. And over the years, they just pretty much sat and collected dust until I decided in the summer session that I was just going to do this for me because I'd always wanted to. And knowing how much I was doing that wasn't for me, whether it was my job or other things, this was going to be 15 minutes just for me. And even then, it was challenging at first because, I wasn't that good. It sounded bad. My arm hurt. My fingers hurt. I'm like, why am I doing this? But then I had a realization, and I think one of the key ingredients, especially for the new folks, is the power of the support of your teammates. When you get the encouragement from others and you listen to their own struggles, you get both energized by it and you get that empathy that other people are struggling too. And that helped me realize that, it doesn't matter how good or bad or indifferent my 15 minutes per day is. Let me just do it and see what happens and not set a false expectation that I'm going to be a guitar hero out of the chute on day one. And once I made that decision about a month in, I didn't worry about whether it was good, bad, or indifferent, whether it was 5 minutes or 15. I just would do it. And one of the things Andy said long time ago, and he actually said on this promotion call a week ago, was doing it even when you don't want to. And yes, there were times I just didn't feel like picking it up. And I thought, even if it's 5 minutes, I'll pick it up, play a few chords, put it down, and I'll say, okay, I did my daily wig. And just those little things are the victories that accumulate to the point where I guess it's 5 months later. Amy was even saying today how when I was playing, she was actually enjoying it. So, I think if my wife can tolerate my guitar playing, then I must have made some progress.
Awesome. And yeah, some of our calls, we have like more party calls, and we had a holiday party, and Brian played a Christmas song for us, which is really cool that to actually see in action what he was working on and the results of that. So yeah, exactly. Thank you for Monica and Brian for your insights. And so this is the journey you guys are going to be on as well. So it's an up and down journey, but it's exciting, and you'll end further than where you started. Okay, so the first thing I want to do, this is a really fun exercise, is get out a piece of paper and pen, and this is going to hopefully open your eyes to the damage of multitasking and how much time it sucks from your day. Because part of what I want to help you do is become very mindful of your time and your activities, so you catch yourself like, oh, I'm multitasking again. Or, oh, when you go to plan something and you think, oh, well, I can do this, this, and this at the same time. Like, I can take this class and wash the dishes and do this all at the same time. No, you really need to focus. So let me do before I go to screen share, I will show you. So the first exercise is I'm going to have you write the alphabet A, B, C, D, all in one fell swoop. And then after you get to Z, then you're going to write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you're going to do all letters first and then all numbers to 1 to 26. And what I want you to do is I'm going to show you here. You're going to write it so that, and I don't know if this ends up being backwards for you guys or not. Is this backwards for you or no? Is it forwards? It's forwards? Okay. So you're going to write A, B, C, D first, and then put the 1 underneath the A, put the 2 underneath the B, the 3 underneath the C, okay? So do that. So make a line. And I want you to do it fast. It doesn't have to be your best handwriting. Try to do it as fast as you can. So don't start yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the timer on the screen for a minute. And what I want you to do is I want you, when you finish, so when you get to 26 and you're done, I want you to look at the timer and I want you to write down the time that you had, okay? Now, I'm going to do it for a minute. If you're still going after a minute, then it took you longer than a minute. But if you got it done sooner than that, then mark your time down. Okay, so I'm going to tell you when to go. Don't go yet. Oh, wait. I got to get out of this. There we go. Okay, so get your paper ready, get your pen ready. And I will say go, just a second. Oh my goodness. Okay, here we go. Okay, on your mark, get set, go. Okay, stop. Okay. So put in the chat, just curious, let's see your times. And just to be clear, I hope I was clear. You guys did the alphabet all the way to the end first, and then you did the numbers, right? Okay, good. Okay, so we have a variety of times here. 32, Kendall. 42, Shelly. Let's see, 58, Christopher. Tom, 32. Okay. So this is the time that you're comparing yourself to. You're not comparing yourself to others, just your own time. So now part 2 is you're going to do this. So you're going to go A1, B2, C3. Again, you want to do it over each other, but you're going to go A1, B2, C3, D4. You're going to go back and forth now, all the way to the end. And I'm going to stop at a minute again, and some of you may or may not be done at that point. Actually, you know what? I'll go to a minute and a half this time, just so hopefully you can see how long it took you. I'll do that. I'll do 90 seconds, okay? So wait till I give you the go. Let me go back to the screen share. Okay, 1, 2, 3, go. Stop. Okay, stop. All right, get off the share here. Ah, oh, Shelly did it at the same time. Okay. Let's see. I'm looking 109, 124. Most people, the numbers went up. And also, somebody said that they lost their pen or something. They lost their grip. Yeah. So I can see most of you. How many people give me a wave? It took longer. Yeah. How many people, like if you compare your handwriting from the first one to the second one, is the second one messier? Like you're hurrying? So what is that telling us? For most people, I see Cheryl saying no, hers is good. Quality of work goes down when we're rushing, when we're multitasking, right? It doesn't feel as good, does it? It's, you know, you're hurrying, yeah, it's like your brain has to stop and think each time, like, where am I? You know, what number is this? What letter is this, right? So it's harder, like it's more mentally taxing, it's energy draining, right? So just think, let's say it took you, just for number's sake, and you can do this afterwards. Let's say it took you 30 seconds the first time and a minute the second time. So you just took twice as long to do something that you could have gotten done in half the time. Can you imagine if you applied this to everything that you do during the day, you literally could reclaim hours of time by getting out of multitasking mode. You know, when people say, most of the common complaints that people have are, I'm too busy, I'm too overwhelmed, I've got too many things to do. Well, this is the result of that, right? We're too busy, we're too overwhelmed because we actually are compounding it on ourselves by structuring our lives this way or not being structured. So let this be a lesson and an inspiration to be like, yeah, man, I'm going to get more control of my time back. I'm going to be more mindful of that. So in the spirit of that, the next thing that I want to do, and I'm seeing some more messages coming in the chat here. Let's see. Shelly says, had to use an extra line, had to think about it, Deborah. Yep, forgot the sequence of the alphabet. I know, it's like, you forget. Oh, yeah, exactly. Okay, good stuff. Okay, so then keeping all of this in mind, let me go back to the presentation here. Oh, it started me at the beginning. Okay, hold on. Let's talk about the rocks. So we're going to start to get our priorities straight here. I'll quickly tell the rock story. I'm sure some of you have heard it before and some may not have. And also for the purpose of the recording, I'll tell the story. So I don't know if this is real or just an analogy, but anyway, the story goes that there was a professor in front of the classroom and he had a jar. And he took these, he asked the students if the jar was full and they said no. And it was empty at that point. So he put his big rocks in and he said, oh wait, no, I'm telling the story wrong. Oh wait, no, I'm not. Anyway, he put the big rocks in and he said, is my jar full? And he filled it to the top. And the student said, yes, it's full. And he said, well, not so fast. So then he took some slightly smaller pebbles and he put them in the jar and he shook the jar so that they made their way into the nooks and crannies. And then he asked the students, is my jar full? And he said, and they said, no, they said, yes. And then he said, nope, not so fast. And then he sprinkled sand in and he shook the jar and the sand made its way into the little air pockets and nooks and cranny. And he said to the students, now is my jar full? And they couldn't see any light through it. And they said, absolutely, it's full. And he said, wait, not so fast. And then he poured some water in the jar and the water filled in any of the remaining air pockets. And he said, now is it full? And they said, yes, now it's full. So the moral of the story is we got to get the big rocks in first, because if he had done it in the reverse order, if he had put the big rocks in last, they never would have gotten in. So our big rocks are our biggest priorities in life. You see, here are a few on the picture here: family, play, friends, work. So I wrote a few here: money, family, love. You know, whether that's working on your marriage or dating, fun, health, spiritual life, giving back, travel. And you might have some different ones. These are just a kickoff point. So what I want to do is take about, let me give you about 5 minutes. And during this first pass through, don't worry about getting the right rocks. Just worry about getting down the things that are most important to you. You may come up with some other things here. Maybe there's hobbies. Maybe there's, something on the bucket list that you want to get to. What are the real, like, super big things? And actually, let me do 3 minutes. I think you'll be able to probably get a fair way down along the way with that. So take 3 minutes And write down what your rocks are. Even if you write 10, 15, 20, that's fine, because the next pass we're going to do is we're going to prioritize them. So don't try to prioritize this time around. Just do more of a brain dump on what you think your rocks are. So take about 3 minutes and go ahead and do that. I'm going to mute myself and I'll come back on in 3 minutes. Okay, everybody. So give a little pause where you are. And I'm curious, who did anybody come up with something that I didn't have on the list? Put it in the chat so you can maybe inspire others who might not have thought of something that you thought of, because maybe it's something that somebody else would put on their list too if they had thought of it. Kitties. Yeah, animals, time with your animals. Actually, I can relate to that. I've been spending more time with my dog because he's getting older. Continuing education, yep, workshops, self-care. Let's see, love, yes, love, love. Organization, having a beautiful home, money. Great, great. I'm just scrolling back up here. Vacation, sleep, yes. You got to put sleep in the calendar. Oh, can I put the list back up? I will put it back up on the next round that we go through for sure. Yes. Let's see. Scrolling back down. Keeping the spark in the marriage. Yep. Being creative. Tennis. Great. Okay, perfect. So now what I want to do is take another couple of minutes and I want you to start to prioritize. And again, don't worry, you're going to leave the call. You're going to still be working on this. So this is just to kind of help you get started here. So we'll take another 3 minutes and start to prioritize a number of things. Like if you had to move things up the list or down the list, what we want to start to do is figure out what's a boulder and what's a pebble and what sand might be. And maybe there's a broader topic that something might fit into, like maybe vacation fits under fun, or maybe tennis fits under health, something like that. So go ahead and start to prioritize and organize. And you might think of some new ones on there. So I'll give you guys 5 minutes now to think a little bit more deeply as you start to prioritize these things. And I'll throw the list back up here. Okay, everybody, take a few seconds to wrap up your thought where you are. Seeing some good comments in the chat there. Deborah was saying she has a lot of shoulds going on in her head, and this is some of that conditioning that we've been subjected to in our life about what other people have told us is important or the way that we should be doing things, right? And then Cheryl had a really great statement about that her spirituality is the container, which I love that. However, I want to tweak that a little bit. So spirituality, I think, Cheryl, is when you say it's a container, it's like your overall value system focus that you have in your life. It still needs to be a rock because we need to assign time values to our rocks. So if we don't actually give time to our spiritual life, you know, whether that's meditation, a walk in nature, attending church, whatever it is for you, then it's not getting done. So it's still, you can make it the container, but it also needs to be a rock in the container because we assign time to that. Okay, great. So what are people, does anyone want to share their short list of rocks, your top 3 or 5? I'm sure it's probably similar for a lot of us. Anybody? Okay, Chris, come on the line. Oh, let me unmute you. I'll help you. Hold on. There you go.
Hi. The top 3 for me, I ended up with relationships as number 1, health as number 2, and fulfillment as number 3. And then I put little branches underneath all of them. So my original list ended up as like branches underneath those main headings.
What does fulfillment mean? How do you define that?
What I put under fulfillment was giving back, career, work, creativity, teaching, mentoring, photography, documentary filmmaking, writing, and public speaking. So those are all kind of like the things that I'm interested in, that I get excited about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is how, for those of us that like to do lots of different things, is a way that we fit it in, right? So if we say my rock is, in Chris's terms, fulfillment, and all of those things make up fulfillment, then you can pick a few of those things to work on, and you're not doing them all at once, but you can make a conscious decision that you want to work as many of those in it as you can. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So that is kind of the way to focus and do it all at the same time, is because we're getting very clear. Great. I was saying, Eileen, did you have your hand up? Yeah, please. Come on.
Yes. Let me see here. So I first had 11 of them, and I've tweaked them, and in a very interesting way. That's kind of exciting, down to 5. And the first one is work, career, calling, a sense of what I've been called to do. Mm-hmm. And underneath that, I put wealth, because it comes from what I offer, what I produce. Health, mm-hmm. Spiritual life was number 3, and under that, I had a separate section which was having a beautiful, peaceful, conscious home that feels like a sanctuary for me and for my guests. So I put that under spiritual life, because that's really an expression of that, rather than having it be something separate. And then fun and adventure, under that I put romance, partnership, under fun and adventure. I don't think I've ever characterized it that way. And I sort of like the fun and adventure being the overall, and then romance coming in underneath it, hanging out in nature. Yeah. And the last one was continuing education in learning communities. And that included my love of community, period, and the gift that community is. So this was really fun for me.
Oh, good. Yeah, it is interesting how you can combine things and, what falls under what. And yeah, so you're going to continue to go through that exercise. And I encourage you after the call, if you have some more time and you're kind of in this zone, to kind of continue with it, go with it. And that'll really help you into tomorrow night's call, where we'll dive more into wigs, because your wig is probably going to be something that comes out of one of these main rocks that you have. And that is ideally what we want you to do, because ideally we want your wig to be something that calls to you, is something that is really a high priority for you, so that we make sure that you're getting that done. So yay. Thank you so much, Eileen, for sharing. So this is great, guys. Awesome. So let me see. Any last thoughts or shares? Grace, I see you're still on the line. I want to make sure I give you an opportunity, since you don't have the opportunity to raise a hand, if there's anything that you wanted to add to the conversation. And if not, that's fine. No pressure. One concept that I want to share with you guys too, and actually this is something that I've been personally grappling with, is there's a difference between having what I call a procrastination tool versus a reward. So, for example, I'm a TV watcher. I hate to admit it, but I am. It's just one of the ways that I relax. And even myself, where I've been going through these processes for several years now, this is lifelong. What we're doing right now is lifelong. We're always going to be learning, and we change as people too. So maybe what was working for us before isn't working anymore, or we have new interests that come up. So sorry, I was just getting a message. Yeah, so I used to think that TV, and in some ways for me it is a bit like a bad habit. It's a procrastination tool. TV, when I'm using it as an avoidance tactic for something else, that it is a procrastination tool in that moment. If, however, I have on my rocks relaxation time, and TV is something that I enjoy, then actually making time for it and doing it is okay, but I'm doing it consciously. So I'm choosing television as my mode of relaxation, but I'm doing it actually as more consciously as one of my rocks, but also if it's something that I tend to use to procrastinate. Part of what we do when we procrastinate is we fall into self-soothing behaviors. So for some people that might be going on social media, TV, going and making a snack, going shopping, whatever it is for you. Some people get tired and they take naps. Like every time you think you need to go do something really important, you all of a sudden get tired. That's procrastination. And so procrastination, like what's coming up for us in that moment is fear and anxiety. You might be feeling that resistance. So that's all fear and anxiety that we then want to use our self-soothing behaviors, whatever it is that we go to. And we do those first in order to soothe ourselves, to make ourselves feel better. But that ends up putting off our goal. If instead you become aware of what it is that you go to in order to, as your procrastination tool, then in your awareness you can say, I'm going to treat that as a reward. So instead of doing it before I work on my goal, I will do it after as a reward for doing my goal. Now, in your case, you might decide that you're going to get rid of it altogether, that it's actually not even something that fits into a rock, like the example I gave with my TV being relaxation. Maybe it's something you're going to end up getting rid of altogether. So the next exercise I'd like you guys to go through is, now we're going to shift gears and we're going to make a list. Think about what are the things you're doing that you would either consider possible bad habits or procrastination tools, or areas where you end up wasting time as you see it. And so just take about, we'll give you 3 minutes on this one. We could do this one pretty quickly. And again, you can finish this afterwards. Take about 3 minutes and start to write down, like, what are the things that where you're losing time, where they're not priorities. So go ahead and do that now. I see somebody asking me to repeat that. You're making a list right now of things that you either are bad habits, time wasters, or things that you do to procrastinate on what it is that you really want to be doing. Hey everybody. I know that was a short amount of time, but you probably know off the top of your head instinctively what it is that you do, where you probably lose the most time. Amy and Brian, snooze button. Yes, I can relate to that one. Online gaming. Yes. Staying up too late with the movies. Eileen, yes. Got it. Yeah, anybody else? Erin, Facebook. I know it's tough. Oh, I realized I'm not on camera. Let me come back on. I struggle with Facebook too because I'm on it for business. It's one of those things because I'm already there, I'm on it, and then it's easily, oh, there's a video. But that's more of a personal fun thing that I want to watch as opposed to it being focused on my business. Helen, reading. I'm happy to read rather than do anything else. Yeah, it's funny because reading's great, right? So maybe it's just about becoming more mindful. So maybe that fits under the rock of leisure or relaxation or learning, whatever that is for you. Shelly, attending 3 kickboxing classes in one day. Oh, you're kickboxing your way through procrastination. So Erin's saying, yeah, she struggles with the whole managing the Facebook between business and personal phone conversations. Yeah, texting. Oh my gosh. So absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, so here's another example too. So the next list that I want you to make is think about, and this could take you several months to make changes here. What are you doing now that isn't really lighting you up? Isn't maybe it's a commitment that you made that you now have to follow through on? I'll give you an example. So I've been coaching. I have 4 nephews, 3 of which play soccer, and they're all different ages, so they're on different teams. And I played soccer growing up. I love it. My sister is the coach of all 3 teams, and I was her assistant coach for all 3 teams, 2 of which were travel teams. So I had 2 nights a week of practices for 2 travel teams, and all day Saturday I was going to up to 3 games. And there's a lot that happens in between too, planning practices, communications between coaches. And I just realized I had to really look at that and say, okay, I do it because I love soccer. I do it because I love spending time with my nephews and creating memories with them. But then I realized the commitment's too big. And the actual time that I'm spending with my nephews, I mean, they're on this team and I'm spending time with them and 15 other kids at the same time. Is it really the quality time that I want with my nephews, or would I rather recoup that time and then make some one-on-one time with my nephews? And so it was a really hard decision, but for springtime, I decided I'm not coaching because I decided that my rocks are my work, my own health, which you would think I'd get a lot of exercise coaching, but in coaching, I'm standing there telling the kids to run around. I'm not really running around. So it really wasn't doing much for my health, right? So I had to just really make a hard decision and weigh the pros and the cons of that. So maybe you're on volunteer committees. Maybe if you have a day job, maybe you're working extra over your time. Maybe you're giving too much at work. Maybe you have and it's not that you don't want to, but maybe you have draws on your time, like maybe you're caregiving for someone you love, a caregiver. Maybe are you going after a degree that isn't really going to serve you? I had a client I was working with who she wanted to become a coach, but she wanted to become a health coach, and she was spending time and money doing an MBA for a corporate job promotion track. And we looked at that and said, well, is that really going to get you where you want to go? So think about where it is that you're spending time in your life, that maybe priorities are changing. Maybe you're not really getting out of it what it is that you originally got or what you wanted to get. Maybe as you're starting to make these shifts and priorities, they no longer align with where you're at. And you might not know 100% in this moment, but you probably have inklings of, this is something I need to take a closer look at. So why don't you take a few moments and make a list of those things. So I'll give you another 3 minutes on that. Okay, I'm getting questions of a list of what? A list of things that you might be doing now that you feel aren't serving you, maybe taking up more time than you want, aren't falling into the areas that you're starting to see are your rocks. So those are the lists. Alejandro said, what about bookkeeping? Yeah, I mean, because bookkeeping can be delegated. So sure, that's a totally valid thing to put on that list. Hey, everybody. Finish your thought there. The challenge is that sometimes we've already committed to things and we have to see those commitments through. And so making changes, being aware of priorities is one thing, and being able to get our life in alignment to those priorities can take time. So we just have to be forgiving with ourselves, like, okay, you made that commitment, maybe you didn't realize that it wasn't aligned, or maybe something changed, but it is what it is. And then you as you move forward, you start to fill in your days and times with your rocks and things, and slowly over time you're not going to say yes to things anymore that aren't serving you. You'll be more aware of that. Does anyone want to share maybe some revelations that they have? Okay, Erin, yes.
I went through this during last round. I was teaching Strong by Zumba. So I had learned and gone and gotten my instructor certificate and everything through Zumba. And then I was teaching my class. I had 2 classes. And I really only taught for August and September. And I said, what on earth am I doing this for? It's not marketing my practice. I'm not seeing my kids. I'm spending extra time away from marketing my practice or spending time with my kids. And for the first time in my life, I just said, I'm done. I gave, a month notice. I've, finished that out. Other people got their certifications. So someone else was able to kind of take it over. And I just said, I can't. I have too much on my plate. And so for me, that was, a big one. And then as we're writing this down, like family obligations, where you feel like you have to do something just because, your family wants you there. If I don't have time for it, I'm just going to have to either limit the amount of time that I spend or say, nope, sorry, can't make it this time. So those were my 2 big ones from last round and then the one from right now.
Good. Yeah, for me, I'm realizing that I have some relationships that aren't serving me in the time that I was investing in those. And it's hard to say goodbye to people, and I'm not always advocating like go say goodbye to everyone who's who falls into that boat, but sometimes you really have to make some tough decisions around that stuff, or put those boundaries in place. So those are great examples. Anybody else? Does anyone had like an aha, like in this moment because we did the rock exercise and now did something pop up on your radar that wasn't there before, where you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing this anymore. Let's see. Chris says, a good friend calls it weeding the garden. Yes. Monica says, my aha is that I spend too much time worrying. Yeah, think about that. Think about the emotional and mental energy. And that's all about being in that alignment on emotional, mental, and spiritual level. Because that takes time. That drains us too. Absolutely. Cheryl McKenzie, really questioning your whole business and if you want to be doing it now. Yeah, sure. And maybe Alejandro, this is getting to some of your questions about, you were saying, well, should I add sales calls to the mix? And if that's an integral part of your business, which unless you love sales, most people don't like that part of their business. So it comes down to, if that's a necessary part of your business, maybe the bigger question is that really what you want to be doing? Or is it maybe that you just need to kind of overcome a resistance mindset around that? But yeah, some of these things might be things that really need to be delegated to other people. Bookkeeping is a great example of that. One thing, it's funny, like getting it more into an abundance mindset is I've never been a big coupon cutter, but I've I had a client who actually, she loved the bargain. She would read the circulars. She would go to 4 different grocery stores a week to try to get the best deals at each grocery store, find the coupons. It almost was like the thrill of the hunt for her. And she was spending so much time saving pennies that she was losing time going after dollars. And so, getting into that mindset of like, maybe because she enjoyed it, she could consider her couponing fun time if she wanted to put it under that rock. But if money and bringing in more financial abundance is one of her rocks, then actually that could be taken away. It actually looks like it's a money goal, but it's actually disguised as something that actually can be taken away from generating that abundance. So let me see what we have in the chat here. Something about handyman friends, like doing stuff around the house. Yeah, like, if you, let's say, I'm single, so I have to do all the housework, all the grocery shopping, all that stuff myself. And one of my goals is I want to have a personal assistant. And that might seem very lavish, right? But actually, when I think about all the time that I put into those things that I don't enjoy, I either could be redirecting that into my business or into relaxation time. So increasing the time that I spend on my business to increase my revenue in order to be able to afford to have that kind of help is really important for me. So part of this process too is thinking, like, in some of these changes that you want to make, what is required there? And that is also going to help you decide like what your rocks are. So again, in the example I just shared, I need to generate more revenue so that I can have get help like that. So I'm going to focus more on my business, make that the rock. So great. Well, we only have a few minutes left. Does any last shares on this process? I have one more thing to go over with you guys as we start to bring it to a close, but you know, anything that's bubbled up over this time? I love hearing too from past members and how things have evolved over the cycles that you've been with us. A good Alejandro says it's been exciting. We're not really calendaring something on the call just because that's very time consuming. I didn't want to take call time for that, but that is where I'm ending. That's your homework assignment. So Monica's a step ahead of me here. Yes. Angie says, Deborah, high schoolers and community college students. Yeah, so you guys are starting to be like problem solving now, right? Like thinking about where can I get help? How can I do this? And for a lot of you, especially new folks with us, but even returning folks, you might make your wig actually getting doing the things to help you get these priorities in place. So doing the underlying organization, these are those systems and structures that are getting built that will be the foundation to help you do other things. So if it means getting help, delegating, getting stuff off your plate, maybe like Erin, you have to resign a job. Yeah, sometimes you have to decide, is it a commitment that I have to see through all the way to the end, or is there a graceful way for me to wind something down where I can pass the baton to somebody else? Or maybe if I'm caregiving for, you know, a parent or a family member or somebody, you know, maybe it's time that I need to have help come in. So maybe you need to, if affording that is an issue, maybe you need to research, you know, there's places that, you know, maybe there's volunteer help, maybe there's a senior center, maybe there's other things that you can do to start to help free yourself up. Sometimes those are your initial wigs, is to work on some of those underlying structural items. So great. Awesome. So yeah, so the last thing as we wrap up here, I want to read a quote from Tony Robbins. He says, if you talk about it, it's a dream. If you envision it, it's possible. But if you schedule it, it's real. And one of the things that we teach in the club is that you need to schedule your goals. You need to schedule sleep 8 hours. You need to schedule time at the gym. You need to schedule work. You need to start building these things into your schedule. And that way, when you're tempted to deviate from that, again, it helps you to be mindful to say, well, this is my time period for doing X. And if I'm not doing X, then I'm not following my big plan. I'm not in alignment with my rocks. So part of this is you're going to start scheduling these things in, not just the 15 minutes on your wig, but you're going to start putting these big rocks into your schedule. So what I encourage you to do as you leave the call are a couple things. One is continue to really laser in onto what those primary rocks are. Like, what are the top 3 to 5? Okay. And put time for that in your calendar. And realize, for example, like for me, taking time to eat healthy means time to cook. So I have to put cooking time and grocery store time into my day. So think about, if your rock requires you to take other actions, you have to make sure that you have time for that. So this isn't one of those things where you're going to get it 1,000% right your first time out. This will be continual check-in and adjustment. But we want to start you off getting your rocks in your calendar. Out of doing this exercise, a wig is going to bubble up that's going to be in alignment with one of the rocks that you choose, most likely, or one of those foundational elements to make the space in your life so that you can get to the other more fun wigs or whatever it is that you are thinking about. Just so you know, you can't get it wrong with a wig. There's no wrong wig, and I'm going to talk about that more tomorrow night in upcoming weeks, so don't stress about that. But if you have some more time after the call today, really kind of continue on this path, the zone that you're in, and start to really think about what it is that you're most want to focus on this year, and start to go into your calendar and to block that time off so that you have it before your year gets filled with other things, and before you unconsciously start saying yes to things and taking things on that aren't really in alignment with that. So great. Okay, guys. Well, Andy wrote me. He actually, I didn't realize this, he had a client call that was happening during the session. So Andy actually had to go, but he wanted me to send his best wishes to everybody. And both he and I will be on tomorrow night. So tomorrow night is our kickoff call for the club. It's at 7 Eastern time. And typically we go an hour, maybe a little bit over. We stay on the line for folks who might want to do a little bit more work on defining their wig. But tomorrow night, what that's about is it's a welcome to the club. It's kind of giving the, like, how the club works overview, our protocols. We have a few club rules, and getting you going on what you can expect in the first couple of weeks of the club, and especially the next 1 to 2 weeks, how that's going to unfold, because we start to, in that tortoise way, in that sustainable way. We try not to throw everything at you at once. We want to help you ramp up. For those of you who are returning, I encourage you to go through this orientation exercise with us, because it's always a chance for you to revisit and to actually gain that mastery by going through things from the beginning again and being lockstep with your whole team. So come tomorrow night if you can. There will be a replay if you can't, and you'll be hearing more from us, getting you going through the week. You'll be getting into the platform this week. I'm going to be sending out a form for you guys to fill out on what your interests are, so I can start to form teams. So we've got a lot of great stuff happening this week to get ready. But still think through what we've talked about tonight to start to get, you know, clearer and more focused in what you're going to be working on. So great. So thanks, guys. I'm just looking in the chat. Tara says it was helpful. Awesome. Awesome. I appreciate you guys. Any last questions? I'm going to unmute everybody. We can all say goodnight to each other.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, guys.
Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Bye. Happy New
Let's rock
Year.
the new year.
Happy New Year.
Bye.
See you tomorrow.
Happy fabulous 2019.
Yes.
Woo!
Woohoo.
Woo!
Woo!
Bye.
Bye.
Hi.